Hi, my name's Nick. I created Meeting Places, and this morning I'm going to spend a few minutes talking to you about site prep work. The bad news is it's boring, it's labor intensive, and you have to do it. And what's worse, you have to do it very first. It's kind of a barrier to entry. It's a hurdle you definitely have to get over, but it's smooth sailing after this point as long as you do your site prep and you do it properly. So let's talk about why we do site prep. That is very heavy. That's the gist of it. That is why we do site prep. Thousands of pounds of concrete block are stacked up right there. And on top of that, it all touches the ground in one 8-inch wide line. So we have thousands of pounds going into the ground at the perimeter of that shape, and that's a very concentrated force profile. So it pushes on the ground really hard in a small area. What that means is it's going to sink if we don't do site prep. You can imagine if you stacked that up just in your backyard on top of grass, that would make a big dent in your grass, wouldn't it? Of course it would. So we need to make sure that doesn't happen. Not only does this make building these easier, but it ensures that they stand up for a long time and they look good for a long time. So what do? The first step in site prep, and this is essentially universal across the planet, is you remove organic matter. And the reason we do that is twofold. One, it is not resistant to compression. That's really what we need here. We need something that will not squish when we put weight on it. Two, organic matter decays, and over time it changes shape, and you can't really predict the way in which it's going to change shape, and this can lead to a very huge problem in construction. It's called differential settlement. So you have a corner of a building over here, and you have another corner over here, and over a year, let's say it sinks an inch on this corner and it sinks an inch and a half on this corner. That's very, very bad for your building. It can literally tear it apart at the seams. For a great example of differential settlement, you can look at, I'll put a link into the description for you for this too. You can look at the Millennium Tower in San Francisco, and let's just say they have some severe problems, and it's only going to get worse, and hundreds of millions of dollars in lawsuits and all sorts of good stuff going on with that. It's a modern day leaning tower of Pisa in downtown San Francisco. It's not good. So that's what we want to avoid. We want this thing to be easy to construct, and we want it to be long-lived. We want it to look good for its whole life. So we're going to remove the organic matter, and then I like to compact that surface right away. It's a little bit overkill, but I like overkill instead of underkill when I'm doing site prep. It can come back to bite you pretty hard if you don't do this properly the first time. It's very hard to fix later on. So I'd rather just put in a little effort up front and have it done right the first time, which should be true with anything in life, right? Just do it right the first time. You'd think, but turns out that's a hard lesson to learn. So we've removed our organic matter. I compact the surface at that point, and then I come in with road mix. I like road mix for a number of reasons, and I'll tell you why. I come in with road mix and go layer by layer. So we lay down a little bit and run over it with a plate compactor. And it's worth noting, you need to use a machine to do the compacting. It's not good enough to get one of those square plates on a stick from Harbor Freight and go like this. That does not do the job well enough. That will not be fully compacted. It will sink on you. So you get a plate whacker. You can rent it for like $40 for a day from really any tool rental place should have one. And you begin to slowly compact your road mix layer by layer. And I do it layer by layer for a specific reason, actually two specific reasons. One, you get complete and thorough compaction. If you put all your road mix down and then run the plate compactor over the top, it might be hard to the touch, but underneath it will not be compacted. So you'll sink. Two, and this is a very nice way to make your life easier later in this process, is you have a much finer control over the finished surface that you're creating. That's really what we're doing here. We're eliminating the possibility of this sinking, but we're also going to give ourselves a place onto which we build these grills. So the smoother and the flatter and the more predictable the surface you can create, the better. Makes putting these up and getting all those horizontal lines really clean very easy. If you have a lumpy surface, it's a nightmare. It gives you a lot of control over the surface that you're creating. As soon as you start, you can see you've got a low spot here and a high spot there, and you can start to fill in and move material and get all your whoop-de-doos taken out of the ground. Makes these things really, really easy to build and get really good visual results. Because make no mistake, this is a very visual construction. That's not an accident. We're doing things on purpose here. So that's my rant about site prep. Takes a little bit of time. I recommend renting power tools. If I excavated all this by shovel, well, the truth is I never would have done it. I tried and I quit because it was terrible. It was taking me hours and hours and hours. It was going to take me days to do it. In 1 hour, we got it done with the machine. Rent power tools, remove organic material, avoid differential settlement, compact, compact, compact. Oh, and I wanted to tell you about road mix. I like it because I get an excellent result. It's the next best thing to pouring concrete without the labor and cost of pouring concrete. And fixing concrete, if you mess it up, is extremely difficult. So for my purposes, road mix is plenty sufficient, easy, cheap, and I mean cheap. This is like one of the cheapest materials you can get your hands on. Paid $40 for 6 cubic yards. So that's what I have to say about site prep for today. You can watch a video of my good friend Zach and I tearing the hell out of my yard with a dingo and a plate whacker, and we'll catch you next time.